The link between humans and the earth, where he was born and lives, is stronger, deeper, and more meaningful than it could be imagined. As in our past and in the present, humans have always depended and continue to depend on the environment surrounding them, and primarily on the earth and its fruitfulness. Alternatively, the earth, its fertility, stability, and pristine ecosystems depend on humans and their careful attitude to the earth, attention and love to Mother Nature. This relationship is obvious and indisputable, and only in close unity and harmony with nature can humans hope for a stable and prosperous life. Today, Kyrgyzstan has a unique chance and a brilliant opportunity to demonstrate that sustainable use of natural resources contributes to the solution for socioeconomic issues, especially the welfare of the population living in the country. These principles form the basis of a global initiative of the two UN agencies, the United Nations Development Programme and the United Nations Environment Programme. When the UNDP Poverty and Environment Initiative selected countries from Central Asia to participate in this initiative, it conducted in-depth analysis. Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan have presented the most convincing arguments in favor of such activities. Most of the population of our country live in rural areas where poverty is concentrated.
The Kyrgyz Republic is a sovereign multi-ethnic state located in the heart of the Eurasian continent in the Tian and Pamir Alai Mountains. The area of Kyrgyzstan is about 2,000 square kilometers. Almost 90% of the country's territory lies 1,500 meters above sea level. As of January 1st, 2011, the population of the Kyrgyz Republic was about 5.5 million people. More than one-third of the population live in urban areas and about two-thirds in rural areas. In 2010, about 2 million people lived below the poverty line, with nearly 75% of them living in rural areas.
Almost 90% of Kyrgyzstan is occupied by mountains and has significant natural potential. The highest mountain peaks, decorated by snow caps, the rapid flow of pure glacier waters, tens of thousands of acres of magnificent mountain woodlands, including walnut fruit forests, alpine meadows rich with herbs, lakes and fertile valleys, all of these create a unique environment. The foothills and flanks of the Turkcy Alatu and Tinshan mountains are covered with dense pine forests and Tinshan spruces rarely found in nature. The forests and mountains are inhabited with rare species of animals, which are also on the verge of extinction in many countries around the world. The unique ecosystem with its rich biological diversity is a legitimate pride of the Kyrgyz people. The country also has very rich deposits of natural resources. According to experts' calculations, the overall value of Kyrgyzstan's mineral deposits is estimated at tens of trillions of dollars. The extensive roster of the investigated geological data contains not only rich gold deposits and hydrocarbon resources, but also large deposits of uranium, iron ore, and aluminum, rare earth metals, and others. However, despite all these natural resources, the poverty rate in Kyrgyzstan remains quite high.
The poverty issue in the Kyrgyz Republic is quite acute, as more than 33% of the population live below the poverty line. Of course, this figure can make one think and take action in order to reduce poverty, improve people's welfare, and their ability to receive normal services and have normal living conditions. Here, many things depend on the creation of jobs, and the creation of jobs depends on funding or investment. And here we can see how all of these issues are intertwined. Everything which is related to the environment has a great future in terms of helping people get out of poverty, and at the same time create risks that lead to the escalation of the situation.
As it is known, life in the mountains has its advantages, certain features, and serious problems. Even a brief overview of the situation clearly demonstrates how complex and difficult the life of people living in mountainous, remote villages is. It is not difficult to identify reasons for this situation. The severe climate, winter lasts almost 6 months here, lack of natural gas, frequent almost systematic power outages, and unstable supply of clean drinking water, which remains unresolved. Not to mention the absence of other non-essential but still necessary basic comforts and blessings of civilization, which adorn and simplify people's life, such as hot water, sewage, and even access to the internet. We are Jalguz Terek residents. Our main problem is the lack of clean drinking and irrigation water. We live in difficult conditions. Because there is no irrigation water, everything that we grow dries up. Our work is lost for nothing. We have to walk 2 to 3 kilometers to the neighboring village of Jirgtal to get drinking water there. We saddle a donkey with water cans and bring them to our village.
During 2006 and 2010, about 6,000 rural residents, or 16% of the country's total population, have not had access to clean drinking water. The highest level of access to drinking water for the rural population is shown in Chui Province, 96%. In Issyk Province, 93%. In Naren Province, 87%. And the lowest level is recorded in Batken, only 64%.
The issue of survival in Kyrgyzstan's mountainous regions has been further aggravated by problems of agricultural production and animal husbandry. The irrigation system built in the Soviet period continues to decay and cannot provide all the farmland with irrigation water. Annually, about 100,000 hectares of arable land are not used in agricultural production due to systematic violations of farming techniques, crop rotation, and lack of irrigation. In addition, the irrational use of water leads to salinization and waterlogging of lands in certain regions of the country.
In 1993, the local rural administration planted 60,000 poplar saplings on 20 hectares of land in order to prevent soil erosion. And since this area was not fenced and there were no watchmen, people cut down trees. As a result, there are only about 5,000 poplars left now. Villagers directly depend on natural resources as the main source of their livelihood and, consequently, render a constantly increasing impact on them. As a result of economic activity and impact of several environmental factors, about 80% of the existing 10.6 million hectares of agricultural land, pastoral and arable, are considered to be degraded and prone to desertification. Pastures occupy 9 million hectares, or 48% of the country's land, where arable lands in the country make up more than 1 million hectares.
Small village pastures that are convenient and necessary for villages are usually trampled down by cattle to the state of dusty dunes. The poor condition of summer pastures on the high alpine meadows today is of another concern. Once fertile and highly productive pastures covered with lush and plentiful greenery, more and more are overgrown with poisonous weeds.
This is pea shrub. Every year, this thorny shrub grows in Susamar pastures and makes it impossible for farmers to graze their cattle on these lands. It is very difficult to destroy and get rid of. Before, when I was a schoolboy, teachers sent us to cut pea shrubs, which we used for making brooms. The problem is that the weed is growing rapidly. Compared to 1990, the total area covered with pea shrubs have increased from 5,000 hectares to about 18,000 hectares.
Mountainous terrain and climate suggest an increased risk for mountainous communities. The country is exposed to more than 20 out of the 70 most dangerous risks and widespread natural disasters. Every year, landslides, mudslides, heavy rainfalls, and hail cause enormous damage, not only to infrastructure, roads, bridges, and power lines, but also shatter the hopes of farmers for the next harvest. Earthquake and hurricanes often leave people homeless. There's a growing statistic of casualties caused by natural disasters. It is clear that those who suffer the most do not have enough money to recover, the country's poorest population.
The number of natural disasters is growing irregularly and is difficult to predict. The country saw 2009 emergencies in 2007, 439 emergencies in 2010, and 255 disasters in 2011. The most common threat includes mudslides, 29% of all emergency situations, followed by avalanches, 11%, landslides, 6%. The annual damage caused by natural disasters in Kyrgyzstan makes up more than 500 million som, or $37 million. At the same time, according to experts' calculations, the country needs about 6.5 billion som, $150 million, for disaster prevention.
The international community should pay attention to the current problems and poverty level in mountainous countries. The United Nations Development Program and the United Nations Environment Program have for a long time been effectively addressing the problems of sustainable development in mountain regions, environment conservation and welfare of residents in mountainous regions, including Kyrgyzstan. One of the future steps in this regard is a global UNDP, UNEP Poverty and Environment Initiative. The Poverty and Environment Project has been implemented in Kyrgyzstan since August 2011. The first phase will last until late 2013. The first objective of the project is to integrate poverty and environment links in the strategic planning processes at all levels in the country, and to integrate these issues into programs and projects of UN agencies and UNDP. The second objective is focused on the regional level. That is, the introduction of poverty and environment links in the process of strategic planning at the regional level. Development of Kyrgyzstan in the next 3 years will be determined by the medium-term program for 2012 to 2014. In fact, it is an action plan for the Kyrgyz government to facilitate transition to sustainable development of the country, taking into account the relationship of economy, effectively resolve social problems, and environmental protection. The same basic principles of sustainable development provide the basis for the global UNDP, UNEP Poverty and Environment Initiative.
The UNDP, UNEP Poverty and Environmental Initiative is designed to provide a basic framework for the implementation of green development in Kyrgyzstan. We have very limited available lands and hydrocarbon resources that are currently used to build and sustain the economy. At the same time, over 1/3 of the population lives below the poverty line. This is a very large figure, and we should reduce it. Hence, the main dilemma is how to build capacity having limited resources. Under the midterm program of the Kyrgyz government, the UNDP UNEP initiative will provide substantial support to the process of poverty reduction and environmental protection.
As the UNDP UNEP Poverty Environment Initiative includes integration of environmental priorities and issues of poverty reduction into national, sectoral, and local development strategies, local governments must learn how to develop comprehensive plans, take into account all aspects of sustainable development in the context of sustainable use of natural resources, and improve the welfare of local communities. This work has already begun with the administration of the Naren region and Susamur rural administration that were selected as pilots for the Poverty and Environment Initiative.
We believe that development plans are an essential tool for mobilizing resources to meet the urgent needs of the region, district, and the residents. Preparation of such plans helps development of areas, and we know such examples from many countries. UNDP has worked in Georgia and other countries in Europe and Central Asia. In the region of Kakheta, Georgia, preparation of the territorial development strategy has helped to attract resources for the development of the area from the World Bank, which, after seeing the clarity of the strategy and outlined priorities, agreed to provide $50 million for the development of this area. We think we have the same tasks in Kyrgyzstan, in particular with our partner Naren Province, where the Poverty and Environment Program started working on the development strategy of Naren Oblast.
An in-depth analysis of the situation and most important problems will help the program professionals to determine relevance and viability of plans prepared by local residents, calculate implementation costs, and then work together to develop comprehensive local development plans and packages of projects for investment strategies, and find sources of funding. It is important that all programs and activities should be seeking to improve the lives of local people and facilitate rational use of natural resources. The recommendations of the project experts will be used in the next phase of strategic planning of territorial development, including budgeting. Experts will prepare specific indicators, implementation of which will be judged based on the effectiveness of the work accomplished. Kyrgyzstan is one of the few places on Earth where nature has retained its pristine beauty in the era of post-industrial development of informational technologies and high-tech production with a growing depletion of natural resources and degradation of ecosystems. How can we protect the environment from unharnessed human activity? How can we preserve purity and wealth of the environment for future generations? And at the same time, how can we make people's lives decent and prosperous, successful and productive? We must engage ourselves in finding answers to these questions. And the UNDP, UNEP Poverty and Environment Initiative will help us in our quest.